Researchers are trying to give AI metacognition. This is something we typically think of in humans as thinking about thinking. You come up with something, and then you can evaluate whether it's a good or a bad idea. AI typically lacks this. It just gives the most likely answer to a prompt. There are a few ways that researchers are going about this. Some of them are just to make AI that technically qualifies as conscious, just by definition. We will talk about it. And other ones seem to have real utility. One way that researchers are trying to accomplish this is by having hierarchical models, and those typically excel at reasoning. You can have one AI that is front-facing, takes action quickly, and then you can have another AI that could operate as a subconscious who then evaluates the actions. This is not at all dissimilar to how human brains work. We have a front-facing version of our thought, and that's the one that is taking action that we are observing ourselves. Then you're going to have a subconscious, something in the back that's modeling what we're doing. In fact, your brain models actions before you take them. Now, some people would say that this means we don't have free will. I think that's a fundamental misunderstanding. We are complicated systems, yes, but there's pragmatic reasons to look at, say, the will of a mouse and what a mouse is capable of choosing versus the will of a plant and what a plant is capable of choosing. But this is all very philosophical. And don't even start talking about libertarian free will. No, you can't do whatever you want. There's physical constraints, there's societal constraints. It's a moot argument. Let's move on. One of the major problems with traditional LLMs is that it has linear thinking, A to B to C. If you want something that's truly capable of thinking, it's going to have nonlinear connections. This is the difference between thinking maple syrup, pancakes, versus maple tree, pancakes. There's a few steps in between. This is also the only way that we'll ever get to true creativity. If you really think that an AI could be creative, that is. A truly intelligent machine is going to need to be able to self-improve, take in information, use it to assemble new information, and change its thought structure, so it cannot be rigid. This should, ideally, lead to better information processing over time, but this also has drawbacks because an AI that can significantly change could become dangerous. Just like people, if they don't have morality and they don't have the capacity to have empathy, then you never know what they're going to do, because they do have the capacity to change a whole lot and of their own volition. I'm not going to keep providing disclaimers that AIs don't want anything. I mean, you can hook an AI up to a brain organoid, tiny human brains grown from human stem cells, and they run on dopamine. I think if you are looking for a dopamine kick, you can want something, but we'll see where AI goes. Do LLMs dream of electric emotions? This is actually probably the coolest paper title I've ever seen, and this is another way that we can use hierarchical AI. So our brain is an assembly of different lobes, and AI can work much the same. We have the fast automatic system to our left, and that's the one that's going to make decisions, and then a secondary system operates as the teacher who's going to do the reflective thinking. This is a form of metacognition, where two AIs can do different jobs and keep each other in line. Having someone to check your work, essentially, which would be a huge improvement, but much more costly. But yes, there is a concept in neuroscience that we have multiple processors going on simultaneously in our heads, and that makes us as efficient as we are, and if we can do it, let's let AI do it. And this is how we build a robot brain that has true intelligence. That is the goal. This is where it gets really muddy, because what really is intelligence? Is it the ability to identify patterns? Is it the ability to problem solve? In which case, yeah, AI is pretty darn good at it. But LLMs, as we know them, are just probability machines. They give you a probabilistic answer based on the prompts. They're not really coming up with new ideas, but you could make an AI that does. These are very simple computers compared to what's in our brains, while you need an entire warehouse worth of computers to run a mouse's brain. And yeah, we are working towards running a human brain, modeling every single neuron. Our brains only work on 10 watts of power. It is extraordinarily efficient. Humans are trying to recreate the human mind in a computer. And if you've ever read Dune, you know that might not be a good idea. Occasionally, we do need a reality check. A LLM is not conscious, and can I say that with absolute certainty? No, but I also can't say with absolute certainty that the moon is not made of Swiss cheese. I hope we do make machines that are truly capable of feeling something, and some people, including one of the researchers on the running a mouse's brain on a supercomputer, actually thinks that is a possibility. You guys probably want to hear about the robot that just technically qualifies as conscious based on a simple test. Yes, some researchers made a robot that used inner speech and identification to recognize itself in a mirror, the traditional test to determine whether or not somebody is conscious. And I find this hilarious because it's essentially just scientific snark. Yes, the robot looked in the mirror and thought about what properties the mirror had, what properties it had, and correctly identified that yes, it is it looking in the mirror. By early measures of consciousness, this robot is conscious, but clearly it's not. When the robots finally rebel, I'll probably be the first person to tell you about it, and I'm on their side. Follow for more.